In need of a Windows 10 key for your new PC build? Well, you're in luck. Today's sponsor is CDK Deals, and they have a deal for you. CDK Deals is a site that offers excellent deals on games and software. And of course, they offer Windows 10 Pro OEM keys at a ridiculously good price. Just find the best deal and go ahead and pop in my promo code GOG20 to apply an additional 20% off. You can check out securely via credit card or PayPal, and once done, you will go ahead and get direct access to your key via the website as well as in your email. Once you have your key, all you have to do is type in activate in your search bar, go ahead and pop the key in, and poof, you're up and running. To take advantage of this excellent offer, all you have to do is click the link in the description and pin comment down below. Make sure to apply GOG20 to get that additional 20% off. Hello everyone, and welcome to The Good Old Gamer, the channel where we cut through the marketing BS, take a look at new and old gaming technologies to figure out what makes the most sense for you. Alright, so today we got fed plenty of BS. CES 2021, we just got the Nvidia and AMD keynotes, and realistically, they weren't all that impressive. However, we did get some information that I think is pretty important, especially if you're looking for a mainstream graphics card. So that's what I want to be talking about here today. But before we get into it, if you like videos like this, please smash that like button. It really helps out the channel grow and tells YouTube that you like this kind of content, so they share it, and then we get to grow the community. It's one of the best ways you can support the channel. Only takes you 2 seconds. Liking, sharing, subscribing. Best ways possible, and I thank you all so much for doing so. All right, so today the big takeaway that I got out of all of this, number one, AMD had the worst presentation I've seen since the Don Matrick era for Xbox back in like 2011 to 2013. You know, those really boring E3 shows where they'd have like pop stars come out and just talk about nothing of relevance.
What the hell am I looking at?
That's pretty much all AMD did. They did launch the Zen 3 APUs for mobile, which is good, but even that, which I think is the biggest thing that they talked about, they glossed right on over. For the most part, they seemed more interested in bringing on partners that they're working with and just chatting with them about random things that have nothing to do with anything. I don't know who that was designed for. I don't even think shareholders would be encouraged by that. Typically, you want to see some sort of roadmap, some sort of definitive, hey, we're doing this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Here's a couple of new products. They're going to do X, Y, and Z. Show off some new stuff. You do want to talk about partners, but they really just like sat there and chat with like Microsoft and somebody from ILM over there at LucasArts. I don't know, guys. Didn't do it for me. The laptop Zen 3 CPUs, obviously those are going to be really cool, but I would have liked to know more. And the biggest thing that they did mention, they just kind of like tossed out there, was Navi 22. I think like many of you, I was hoping that they would go in depth, do some teases, or announce the thing. That would have been best, but I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like a tease. Instead, they basically told us not to expect Navi 22 or their mainstream mid-range-ish GPUs until the end of the first half of 2021. Or they said it would be coming the first half of 2021, which means literally the last days of June. That means they're going to push it just until like right before Q3 starts, and that would be in July. So not until the end of June are we going to see mid-range GPUs from AMD. On the contrast, Nvidia, however, did come out with the RTX 3060. This actually came in a little bit cheaper than I was anticipating. If you guys are fans of the channel, I pretty much predicted all of it, except I got the price a little bit wrong. I thought Nvidia was going to go with $350. They went with $329, so that's a little bit better. However, as we all know, with the current market, MSRPs are virtually meaningless. At the very least, it means the target's a little bit lower than I was anticipating. Realistically, these things are going to sell for way higher than $329, $350, probably closer to like $500, unless you can get them at or near MSRP at launch. But taking like the mining craze and supply issue shortages and all of that out of the equation for a moment, I do find it interesting that the least expensive RDNA 2 GPU, new GPU from AMD that you can get, starts off at $579. That is basically their entry level for their graphics cards right now. Nvidia did a good job bringing out the 3060 Ti before Christmas at $399. I thought that that was a really good price point for them to hit before the holiday season came up. And now they're dropping that all the way down to $329. So their lineup will start at $329 at the end of February, which isn't even the end of Q1, which means we're going to have to wait more than a quarter for AMD to respond basically to the 3070, 3060 Ti, and 3060. It's likely Nvidia will actually launch 3050s before AMD even competes with any of those cards. Now, why would AMD be so far behind the 8-ball on this, you may be asking? Because I was. So I spent some time and I thought about it. And it would kind of make sense for them to want to push back Navi 22 due to the supply issues, due to the huge demand for graphics cards right now. And perhaps they wanted to make sure, because they're going to be supplying both laptops with these and desktop, that their supply would be relevant enough that they don't get slammed in the media. The problem is, we're talking 7-8 months after the launch of the RTX 6000 series, we're then just going to finally get mid-range cards. How much longer is it going to be before you get, the tier below that? Is that going to be another 6 months? Because we're expecting RDNA 3 sometime this year, even if it's, December 31st, the very last day, with these sort of gaps in between launches. I don't know, AMD, are you going to be launching your entry-level 6000 series at the same time as your high-end 7000 series? This just doesn't seem like a very good business model, in my opinion. AMD also did this with RDNA 1 back with the 5700 XT. You had the 5700 XT and the 5700, and then for the longest time, those were the only two GPUs in that lineup. And they were still selling like RX 580 and 590s to try and fill the gap and clearing out old Vegas. But, I get that. You want to clear inventory. However, they took about 6 or 7 months before you got, I think it was the 5600 XT that came out next, which was the same chip. It was just cut down differently. And then finally the RX 5500s, which, granted, they weren't that impressive. But what I'm saying here is AMD needs to go ahead and stop with these elongated timelines, and they need to launch a GPU every single month like Nvidia does. This keeps people interested. It also fills out your lineup. Now, I get it. Nvidia is having a hard time fulfilling their orders. We've talked about it many times on the channel, and there are many different reasons why. However, you can get the Nvidia cards if you're lucky enough. They show up on shops for a little while, so you do have some time to get them. The AMD cards, they just don't seem to exist. So at this point in time, it looks like AMD really does want to compete because they have competitive products at decent-ish MSRPs. But on the other hand, they're just nowhere to be seen. And then with their lackluster CES keynote, where basically they were patting themselves on the back and just chatting with some of their friends about things that nobody cares about, it made me feel very disconnected from AMD. It's like they're in their own little universe. Same thing happened with Microsoft with Xbox. They just thought that they were riding on Cloud 9, didn't really care about what people thought. They just did whatever it was that they wanted. They were connecting their TVs to their Xboxes because of some reason. Somebody thought that was a good idea. And then they started doing some stupid things. Meanwhile, Sony was still right in that race. They actually ended up beating out the Xbox 360 worldwide, which isn't a surprise, but still, they got complacent, and it looks like AMD is starting to get that way because RX 6700s, 6600s, they need to launch within a month of the RTX 3060 Ti. So those need to be coming out this month because they're not even competing with 3070s or 3060 Ti's. And now NVIDIA is going to have another GPU, which is an entirely different die. It's going to be smaller. They'll be able to produce more of them. And the RTX 3060 is no slouch. It's got the 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which I told you that was going to happen. Even though it doesn't make sense because the 3080 only has 10, but still, 6 wasn't going to be enough, guys. Plain and simple. It just wouldn't cut it for a $300 plus graphics card. They had to do 12 because they're going to use the 192-bit bus. So it was always going to be 12. So that's a good thing. It's going to be about 10%-ish slower. According to NVIDIA, they're saying 2 times faster than a GTX 1060. Simple math here. If you guys have seen my GTX 1080 Ti was too good video, I break it down in there. Twice a 1060 or an RX 580 basically makes a 1080 Ti. 1080 Ti is just about as fast as a 2070 Super and RTX 2080. So basically we're getting RTX 2080, 2070 Super performance on the 3060. And then we have basically 2080 Super performance on the 3060 Ti. Gap there is about 10%. So pretty good overall. It took 4 years to get there, but we now have the GTX 1080 Ti at basically half the price from when it came out. So it took a little while, but we're there. And that's basically going to be considered the baseline performance moving forward, which is a good thing. And you get that extra 1 gigabyte of VRAM. So you can put that little feather in your cap. Me personally, I am interested in the RTX 3060. It's cheap enough to where I feel that it is a true upgrade from something like an RX 580 or GTX 1060. In my eyes, I think 329 is fair in today's world with how crazy people are. I mean, we have people spending $2,000 on RTX 3090s. I mean, Asus just jacked up their price to over $2,000. Somebody's got to be buying those. So $329, I think that that's fair in today's market, in today's world. And for that level of performance, I mean, that was $500 last generation. It's $170 cheaper this time around. If you want to equate it to AMD, that means it's going to be about 5% faster than an RX 5700 XT at $70 lower. Now, once again, you're not going to get these at MSRP unless you get them literally on day one. But as I started off the video saying, with Nvidia at least, you have a chance of getting one at some point. Hopefully, it's as close as possible to that $329. I do think realistically, $350 is probably what you're going to end up paying. Probably even closer to something like $370 for now. But I wouldn't pay any more than that personally because, like I said, last year you could have gotten the 5700 XT for basically the same money and similar performance. But this time around, you get 4 extra gigabytes of VRAM. So to me, this is a strong competitor. This is going to be the GPU that most people are going to want. As long as there's enough supply or a reasonable amount of supply, let's be honest. As long as there's enough that, you know, every couple of days you have a chance of getting one, even if it's slim, as long as you have a chance, a lot of people are going to be jumping on that one. And on the laptop side, I think that this is going to be price to performance and performance per watt, the best GPU that NVIDIA can produce at this stage. Typically, the 106 die usually is. It's more efficient than the 104s by a pretty good margin. And yeah, I think that overall that's pretty good. The downside is AMD, nowhere to be seen. Don't seem to want to compete at all. They're lost in the wilderness. They're going to do whatever they want at this point. They made that pretty clear with this CES keynote. So for me, I don't know, guys. AMD used to be like the good guy, the underdog, and they really worked hard to try and earn our business. Nowadays, they're just like, yeah, we're going to do our thing, and we're going to go chill at the country club with all these guys and do whatever we want. You're just going to buy our stuff anyway. Meanwhile, they're nowhere near market leadership in the GPU space. So it seems strange that they just don't seem to care. It's like somebody at the company does, because the 6900 and 6800s, those are really good GPUs. They're very competitive with NVIDIA. It took them 2 generations to go from out in left field, lost in the woods, to actually being competitive, but their marketing and even Lisa Su just doesn't seem that interested. So to me, that's very disheartening, because this is a market that we need competition desperately. A lot of you guys, I actually put out a video talking about how laptop prices shouldn't jump as much because miners can't buy them and use them. None of you guys seemed interested in that, so I actually delisted that video. But most of the comments were telling me, forget about laptops, just go console. And that's what a lot of you guys are saying. So I'm like, all right, let me pull this down. If you guys aren't interested in laptops, maybe I'll buy an Xbox or something and do some comparison videos, because that seems to be where a large portion of you guys are really looking hard. You're like, no, I'll just get an Xbox or a PlayStation, and I'm just not going to deal with this. And all of the main benefits of PC MR that most of you guys talk about, you're just like, nah, don't worry about it. I'll just do some work on a laptop or whatever, and just use the Xbox or PlayStation for gaming. So I don't know. Maybe that's what AMD's plan is to just destroy the GPU market by not really competing, because they know NVIDIA will destroy it on their own. They'll just keep raising prices and price people out of it. Then everybody moved to console. I don't really know, guys. I also got a really strong vibe that Microsoft may end up buying AMD. I don't know what it was. There was just something about the keynote that just said to me, Microsoft might just buy you at this point because they seem to be very, very friendly and they commingle technologies a lot, and things like DirectML might be the real super resolution and competitor to DLSS. I don't know. That's just me speculating, but I got that vibe. Let me know in the comment section if you got that vibe as well. They seem like overly cozy with Microsoft. I mean, yeah, it's a good thing. They're tight partners, but Microsoft can just buy AMD and be like, hey, you are now our, hardware manufacturing division. We're going to need ARM CPUs. Then they have competitor in x86. Really just kick Intel to the wind, because if Microsoft did that, that'd be nuts. But that was just kind of like an aside. I am interested to hear your thoughts in the comments section below on that part. But yeah, at the end of the day, do you guys think that AMD is just like really phoning it in at this point on GPU? And we're basically just playing the Nvidia game, and hopefully Nvidia doesn't screw you completely. For example, like being 329 instead of 349. Yay! Somebody did mention, these are now 60 class GPUs at $330, and I'm saying yay. I mean, looks like Nvidia's winning, if you really want to be honest. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below about all this stuff. Let the conspiracy theories fly. Let's have fun with it. Let's, it's better than the other conspiracy theories in the world. This one's fun and doesn't really matter that much. So have some fun with it. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. And yeah, that's really all I have for you guys here today. And I will catch you guys in the next video.